What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching this, guys. Once again, Stephen Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel, guys. All right, y'all. So today's topic, hey, number one, listen up. I've been hearing you. I've seen the rumblings. I've seen other content creators kind of mention this guy a little bit. I went and looked at the film, and today's topic is going to be about wide receiver from Southern Miss University, Quez Watkins. Here's the deal, guys. I'm going to be straightforward with you. I see potential in this kid, but I will say this. A lot of people are overrating this kid. He's not quite as good as some people are making him out to be, but I do see potential in the young man. This young man, his speed, that 4.35 40 he ran, it does show up on film. He will pull away from defenders. I've watched it. I've seen it. I know this kid is fast. This kid has a weird second gear, guys, that sometimes you kind of spot it on film with this young man. And when he hits that second gear, guys, he hits that second gear. I mean, he really pulls away. It was impressive to see. It intrigued me. I'm still feeling it out myself to get a feel for where the value of this kid's going to be. I've seen some people suggest the third round. Look, I will say this. It's really hard to speak in certain terms when it comes to the draft because you got to keep in mind, guys, all it takes is for one team to overvalue and fall in love with a guy, for the guy to go above where he should be drafted. I don't think that he's going to go in the third round. I think this kid's more of the back of the fourth round into the fifth round kind of talent. But I'll be honest. Some of you guys who like this kid and who have been watching him and kept saying, Steve, come on, man, take a look at this kid and give us. You're not crazy. You're seeing it. I'm seeing it. There is something to this kid. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead. Let's jump into the film and let's break it down, y'all. All right, y'all. Let's get to it. Watch him work this zone on a little hook route. He's down at the bottom of your screen as the flanker. All right, guys. Let's talk about the positional alignment that Quez Watkins played as a wide receiver. Now, I'll admit, when I first started being introduced to this young man, there's just not a lot of scouting information out there on this young man. So my first general impression, just kind of looking at him and kind of, seeing a little bit about him was, hey, this kid was probably mostly like one of these slot guys that maybe has capability, has some capability, my bad guys, to play outside as a flanker. I'll admit, no, he's a little more than that, guys. That's selling him a little short. To begin with, this kid played a lot as an X-aligned receiver. And that shocked me a little bit that this kid played so much as an X-aligned receiver. I didn't expect to see that. But he played a lot on film as an X-aligned receiver. He played a lot of that split end roll. He was pretty comfortable working the boundary side, playing in those tight windows. That's a positive thing to kind of see here, guys. He played, generally speaking, on the outside more than I anticipated. He played quite a few snaps as a Z, basically playing that flanker role. He wasn't scared to basically go out there and play the field side. Giving this kid space is a good idea. I mean, the more space this kid has to work in, the better he plays, man. I mean, this is a kid that really has a second gear, guys. Like, when he hits that second gear and he gets behind you, you're in trouble. This kid has got really good speed.
Again by this Tulane defense. Very impressive the way they turned it around.
Watley going up top for Watkins. Has him inside.
And then he played the slot, but it didn't pop off on film to me, guys. I didn't see him play the slot as much as I was anticipating seeing on film. I was actually a little let down because I was like, oh, man, like I thought this kid would play a lot more in the slot than what I'm seeing. But he really didn't. And I basically watched the majority of his game against Troy. I watched a couple of games of his to where I just didn't see it. I mean, I watched the Tulane game and I watched the Troy game. I was trying as hard as I could to find that Alabama game, guys. I just couldn't, on my side of things, I couldn't find access to that game. I wish I could have because I would have loved to have seen him play there. But, through two games I was able to watch him playing. He was pretty versatile playing all across the football field. I mean, he played the X, he played the Z, and he played the Y. He played inside at the Y. I mean, he's got some positional versatility. He was definitely like the man there at Southern Miss, guys. Bottom of your screen, field side. Watch Watkins stack this cornerback and cut it back on a slant. All right, y'all. Let's talk about Quez Watkins, the football player. Let's get into the particulars of what I see about this kid on film. And to begin with, I think he's a good route runner. He's not elite. And this is what I'm seeing on film from this kid, okay? He's very fast and agile, okay? He will beat guys using his quickness and his ability to change direction. All right, he's very much in the top of the league when it comes to the top of this draft. When it comes to his ability to utilize that speed and agility to free himself from defenders, he's a fast guy, no doubt about it. Those natural abilities really do show up on film. Go to the play I just showed you before, guys, and you can see him stack that defender with his vertical speed, which causes that defender to not want to get beat over the top. And then he just cuts that, he cuts that route off real suddenly, changes that direction without that defensive back being able to do much to prevent it. Right into a slant, picks up the first down. That's what this kid will give you. Now, where do I think that he needs work? Go back, guys, and look at my films where I analyze the guys like T. Higgins, right? Where I analyze guys like Justin Jefferson. So Judy, Justin Jefferson, and T. Higgins, to me, these guys are elite route runners. You can see it clearly on film how good they are at setting up defenders. These dudes will make you look stupid on film if you don't have sound technique yourself. I don't think Quez Watkins is that guy. I do think that he struggles with his against bigger corners. You will see him struggle with his initial release off the line of scrimmage. And one of the biggest cues you can see when a guy struggles with that is they'll stack him.
Abraham back to throw. Blitz coming. Gets it over the middle.
So he plays a lot, on like 2x2 sets or in stacked sets to where there's a guy ahead of him giving him a free release to utilize that speed and quickness. Great, that's a great internal knowledge by the offensive coordinator about his personnel, but nonetheless, something that we hope we get a guy in here like Aaron Moorhead who can work with this young man to teach him how to use those first 3 steps to completely stop and fight and get those hands off you to burn by a guy. Because if this kid picks this up, I'll tell you guys, I do think he's got something here. He could be special.
To run, 30, 25, 20, and Watkins will score.
Contested catch ability and kind of catch radius with this young man, slightly better than I thought. But look, guys, this isn't a kid who's going to pop off on film to you like a Denzel Mims will with the contested catches, right? A Jalen Rager will do, like going back shoulder and elevating above guys. He's not going to pop off like a T. Higgins does with the contested catch. That's not his game. But I will say this, if you put him one-on-one, you allow him to use his speed and you get the ball kind of towards a corner, like kind of either on like a fade or a fly or a corner route, he can beat his guy and he can make some catches to make you go, okay, like this kid, he has hands.
Jalen Adams, their wide receiver, is just, he's been an all-world type player this.
I saw him work the middle of the field a little bit. You saw him on slants, guys. I showed you a hook route. He did work the middle of the field. He did use his hands. I will say this. Just like you get with certain guys that have a lot of speed, there will be some concentration drops with this young man.
The last 3 quarters, as any representation of what this season has been, would be a mistake.
It happens with every single player who has this type of elite speed. You will see concentration drops because they're looking upfield too soon to try to make a play. That's why you got guys like Hamler who have ridiculous amounts of drops. It's a trade-off with these type of players. You're going to have some times where they'll drop a pass and it's going to be frustrating. You'll see it on Rager's film because Rager likes to elevate up and use that 42-inch vertical to go get footballs. Well, if you elevate up and go get balls that should be overthrown or just not very well placed balls, you're going to have drops. It's going to skew that statistic. Same thing here with Quez Watkins. He will have drops on his film, and it's mostly due to him trying to make a big play for a school that probably wasn't the greatest, guys. He was definitely, to me, the star of that program.
First drive quickly and letting his big play receivers run after the catch.
Tried to get
there. So definitely be on the lookout of it. He can make some catches. He's not a contested catch guy. He has decent hands. I wouldn't say that his hands are excellent. I won't say that they're below average. They're decent. They're probably just slightly above the average. But look, he's a good football player, man. I think this is a good value pick for a team like the Eagles. This kid can do some damage in the league. Watch those first 3 steps. That's what I want to see repeatedly on film. If you're going to get pushback on a kid like Quez Watkins, it's going to be this, guys. He played in Conference USA. People are going to point that out. To me, okay, he played in Conference USA. But at the same time, you got to go deeper than this, guys. I hate when people do this and they don't really dig into the details. While he played in Conference USA, know this. This kid played against 3 top 20 pass defenses if the metrics you're using is yards. He played against 3 of the top 20 pass defenses in the league. Okay? So we can say that, but he played against Alabama, he played against UAB, and he played against Western Kentucky. One of those three teams was a top 10 pass defense in Western Kentucky. He played against really good defenses in general, guys. Alabama had a really good defense last year. UAB had a really good defense last year. Western Kentucky had a really good defense last year. He played against decent competition. And look, 2 out of 3 of those games, he did pretty good, man. I mean, he took a Western Kentucky team, which was a top 10 pass defense, and put up 8 catches for 90 yards on them. Against UAB, who was, a top 20 pass defense, he put up 5 for 87 on them. The only game I felt like, man, I wish I could see the film to see what was going on, because we know, number one, we know the level of competition is much higher, and we noticed the top ranked, defense was Alabama, where he put up 3 for 24. The only 2 games that I saw on film for him, where I was, or not on film, but the only 2 games I see that are, kind of like, okay, proceed with caution, are the Alabama game where he put up 3 for 24, and then at the very end of the season, guys, against Florida Atlantic, which is not a very, they're ranked 80th in pass, so they're in the bottom kind of third, just past that middle area in the league. He only put up 3 for 13, but it was the last game of the season, so maybe he was just shutting it down. Who knows? Against other teams, guys, I mean, he had what, 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean, basically 5 almost games. There was one where he was just under it, but I'll just give it to him. 5 games of 100 yards, basically. When you look at this, guys, I mean, when he played the lesser competition, he punished them. Against Troy, he punished Troy. Yes, it's the 126th ranked pass defense. When you go against competition that bad, you want to see a guy punish that competition. He put up 7 catches for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what you want to see when you're playing lesser competition. Spank them. Make it known that you are the best player on the field. This is what this kid is good at, that breakaway speed. If I had to give you an NFL comparison who this kid reminds me of, Terry McLaurin. I don't think he's, if you look at his college film compared to Terry McLaurin's, I don't know that he's quite to that level yet, but he's that type of football player, right? You could say Stephon Diggs is that type of football player, right? These really fast, shifty guys that can take a slot and take it to the house, right? These guys that will use their speed to get vertical on you, and even though they're maybe not the greatest route runners, they just get that separation from you. I think that's how I view this kid, okay? That's the high end, right? He'd be that type of player. On the low end, what could he be? Think of what Torrey Smith was for the Eagles, right? Back in that 2017 season, all right? A guy that can come in and get you maybe 40, 50 catches and add a little big play element. I think he could, in the middle range, the bottom range being he just doesn't work out. In that middle range, I think he could be that type of player. A guy that he can get vertical. He can scare defensive coordinators to make sure that they don't just allow this kid to get over the top with no safety help. He can be that guy and allow better route runners and other guys that can really work the middle of the field to really eat in an offense. I think he can be this type of player, guys. All right, y'all. But I'm going to finish it up, and I want to know, what do you think about him, all right? Be open, be honest. Tell me, what do you think about this kid? I think he's kind of being slept on a little bit. Guys, I had a hell of a time just finding actual scouting reports on this kid. There's not a lot of information out there on this kid. But when you watch film, he does stand off. But you know what time it is. Let me know what you think. All right, y'all. Let's end this video and do a little EAGLES. All right, y'all. Let's go Eagles.